All right. Well, welcome to How to Brand Your Online Productions. I'm Stjepan Alaupovic. I'm the creative director at Jepan Media. We're a video agency specializing in video production and online video marketing. So just to kind of get a feel of the room, how many of you have some type of a marketing background or marketing role within your video productions? You know, one here. What about production then? Everybody more on the production side? Okay. Well, it'll be a good session. We'll cover a little bit of both. Looking at the agenda, we'll talk about why it's important to brand your online videos and talk about assembling the right team. There's a lot of strategy and planning that should go into branding your online videos, so we'll talk about who you should have involved. And then we'll cover production tips and different ways you can brand your video through the production process. From there, we'll go into distribution and marketing, where you should be posting your videos, what channels work for your brand. We'll talk about analytics, how to analyze your videos, get metrics, and continue improving on your strategies. Excuse me. And we'll talk about some other considerations as well, things that'll also help with your branding your online videos. Like I said, we'll leave time at the end for Q&A, so just do me a favor, hold all the questions till the end. We'll definitely leave time for that. So why is it important to brand your online videos? And I want to start off with showing this stat here. 178 million Americans watched 33 billion online videos in February 2013. And I'm sure this number has gone up. Obviously, there's just a huge audience and a huge demand out there for the content that we're producing. So the brands who have done it right have seen really high customer satisfaction rates, increased sales, and so on. So your online videos, they're your visual identity. You know, it's what customers are going to associate with your brand. So it's important to come up with planning and strategy early on and how your brand is going to be reflected in your web productions. So we'll talk about the people you should have involved in those conversations in your departments and at your companies. So, and let me start off by saying that these people that we'll talk about in the departments, they don't necessarily need to be involved on every single shoot or every production, but just, like I said, good to have them involved early on, because they can contribute different things to your brand and to your strategy in online videos. The first people, you should have somebody with a legal background or your legal team involved. And the reason why is, they're going to provide, they're going to let you know what can be said, what can be shown in your videos, and what can't be shown. They'll also have a good idea of like logo usage when it comes to your brand, how you can use your logo and how you shouldn't use your logo. The public relations and marketing people, definitely they're going to be the ones who are going to know the brand's voice. Your PR team can also help with the distribution of your online videos, so they're going to know where you can post your videos, good markets. They'll also know what content is relevant to your industry and to your brand. Like I said, where to post your video and where you're going to get the most return on it. Marketing team is going to make sure that your videos are consistent with all the other marketing material. So everyone puts a lot of time into their marketing. You want to make sure that your videos are also consistent with the rest of that marketing material. Marketing can also help with creating those content strategies as far as an editorial calendar, like when to post your videos. If there's things that are relevant to your industries throughout the year, it's a good time for marketing to decide when to post those videos and get a little more buzz around your web videos. So your sales team, you should definitely have the sales team involved, because they're the ones who are on the ground floor. They're talking directly with your customer. They have that direct communication. They're also going to know what's relevant to the industry, demands. They can help create those content strategies for you by creating topics that are popular in your industry. So they can help with that. Your sales team is also going to be able to tell you if you can monetize your video, if it's worth selling and if there's an audience out there for it. So definitely good to have them involved. Your IT and your web team, they're going to have a good idea of all the, if you stop for a moment to think about all the technology on the back end that's powering our online videos. Your IT and your web team are going to have a good idea of what capabilities you have when it comes to your videos, also what devices you can deliver your videos to, any potential security issues. If your videos are internal, your IT web team will know the security issues around that. They'll also know where you can distribute your video. So if you're going to a YouTube or some other social media, not every company or organization has access to that. So definitely good just to run your ideas by the web team early on. Last, definitely not least, you want to have your in-house video team or a production company involved in those conversations. They're the ones who are actually executing the process. They're going to know the production process. They're going to know the logistics. They can help you come up with a budget for your videos throughout the year. And they're also able to provide the best practices on final specs and whatnot when it comes to your online videos. Okay, so we've talked about assembling the right team and having those key players involved. Let's actually talk about ways you can incorporate your brand into the production process of your online videos. So we'll start with pre-production. And when you're coming up with your scripts and your material, your content, this is the time you decide what the tone is of your video and your brand. Are you funny? Are you serious? What type of content are you going to produce? Is it going to be educational, informational, marketing, behind the scenes look at what you're doing? Really just determining what the end goal is of your video. Also a good time to discuss quality. What's going to be the quality of your video? You're investing time and budget into these other marketing materials, and your video is ultimately going to be a reflection of your company. So it's not only the impression you're leaving with your customers, but also industry peers, even your competition. So you're going to want to be taken seriously. And production value can go a long way as far as helping you stand out from all the other noise that can occur in the online video space. Also a good time to talk about who the face is of your brand. Who's going to resonate most with your audience? It's not always the CEO, or sometimes it's not even the same person when it comes to online videos. Also a good time to talk about media training. If you have somebody who's not used to the cameras and the lights, this is a good time to kind of put them in front of the camera, have them watch and watch themselves on camera over and over again. Also a good time to consider your content length. For so long, short form content has been the way to go, but we've seen long form content become more and more acceptable. So really just kind of figuring out what's going to work best for your audience. If you're creating educational videos, then long form content might be acceptable. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to look at your analytics later on to refine your brand, your video brand later in the process. So we've put all our strategy and ideas together. Now it's time to actually start shooting. So we'll talk about things you can do during production to showcase your brand. So the first thing to think about is how can you incorporate your branding in the background? And we'll start with your set and your background. This is an example of a video we did that highlighted a engineering company in San Diego. And this was the CEO of that company. He had a typical, kind of white wall office, just really boring. We went around the building, we found this engineering lab with the tools and the scientific instruments, things that their audience would resonate with. And we wanted those in the background. And we just, it's just a subtle way of contributing to their story and to their video brand. So think about those things that you can put into your background. Also a good time to talk about composition. Are you going to take a straight-on approach? Do you want to talk directly to your audience? Or are you going to go more with something like an interview-style composition like here on the right? Again, just determining what's going to resonate with your audience. So also, think about shooting handheld or steady. What's the look of your brand? It doesn't always call for a shot on a tripod. This example here, this is from a CNN BuzzFeed video that's about Somali pirates. And you can imagine shooting everything on a tripod in that particular video just wouldn't have conveyed the same message as shooting it handheld. So think about those things, whether or not when you're shooting handheld or steady. And the same goes for cameras. If you used a professional camera on this type of documentary story, it just wouldn't have come across as well as it wouldn't have had that raw, uncut look as how they shot it with smartphones and those types of devices. Continuing on the production style, thinking about lighting and colors. Are you bright, positive? Is your brand dark and mysterious? Thinking about ways you can incorporate your brand into lighting. In this situation, this is an example from Microchip. Their colors are red and black. It's a marketing video, so we wanted to make sure the presenter was lit well. And we also use this pattern on the background here, which is a gobo light pattern. You can actually get your logo created on a pattern and put this in front of one of your production lights to have your logo shine in the background or a surface. So again, just thinking about ways you can incorporate your branding throughout that production process. Also thinking about how we're producing for the small screen. Chances are your audience is going to be watching on a smartphone or a gaming console, some type of a smaller screen device. Think about how you're framing your subjects. This is an example of the image on the left. It's the same shot. One is a medium close-up and the other one is a wide shot. And the audience is more likely to engage with that image on the left and create that visual connection. So we've covered pre-production and production. Next step in the cycle is post-production. And this is really where your videos start coming to life. It's where you start to establish the heartbeat of your brand and your story. So I want to show a few examples here of how pacing works in editing style and in post-production. The first example we're going to take a look at, it's a artist profile of a rap artist from Southern California. And what we'll do is we'll watch the video first, and then we'll kind of rewind and talk about it. Everybody see that okay? So watch about the first 30 seconds.
Just vibe with it. Get fly with it. Get high with it. My stage name is Critic, more formally known as Critical Thought. I'm an artist out of Orange County, California, and my music is a reflection of the 90s generation. Why you think I'm fly, bitch? I grew up in the 90s, hotter than the sun.
Let me pause it there, we'll rewind. So the first thing to think about, pacing. We start off with this slow moving,
just vibe with it,
kinetic text that introduces the video, very melodic tone. It matches the artist's music, and that's what I'm trying to get at with pacing. Then we cut into the
get fly with it. Get high. My stage name is Critic, more formally known as Critical Thought.
We cut into this medium, the medium close-up shot of the artist, just a simple black background, a little bit of shadow on his face. These are things just to think about. Things that match his brand and resonate with his audience.
I'm an artist out of Orange County.
Cut to the black and white shot. Again, just this is revealing a little bit of his wardrobe, and this is the pacing that occurs. Okay, rewind here. So the next example, it's a video from Isola Group, and Isola Group is a company that creates laminate materials that ends up on printed circuit boards. So it's a very different video, but let's just watch it and then we'll kind of come back and talk about the pacing. And this is their company overview. All right, let me try to go full screen with this. For some reason, it's not allowing me to play it full screen, but hopefully you guys can see it all there.
We are Isola, a company founded more than a century ago. Today, we are a leading global material sciences company that designs, develops, manufactures, and markets laminate materials used to fabricate advanced multi-layer printed circuit boards. In other words, we provide the physical platforms for the semiconductors, passive components, and connection circuitry that power and control virtually all electronic products.
Our niche is high-performance laminates driven towards servers.
So I'll pause it there, rewind. Different style video, and really when we talk about pacing with this one, it's a different look. It's a cleaner look. We use white there.
A company founded more than a century ago.
If you listen to the voiceover, and we'll talk about this in a few more slides, it's just a very trustworthy, official voice, something that their audience is going to resonate with.
Today, we are a leading global material sciences company.
Show a variety of shots of their scientists in these white lab coats and these high-tech looking wardrobes. Again, just subtle branding that contributes to their story and their brand.
Designs, develops, manufactures, and markets laminate materials used to fabricate advanced multi-layer printed circuit boards. In other words, we provide the physical platforms for the semiconductors, passive
and this too, we'll talk about graphics in a few slides, but I just wanted to point out that this background that we use for the graphic treatment is the same background that Isola is using on their website and their other marketing materials like I talked about earlier. So it's just something that is familiar, and again, talking about connecting that visual, that strong visual engagement with your viewers.
and connection circuitry that power and control virtually all electronic products.
Our niche is high-performance laminates driven.
Just want to pause it there. You can't see the full name, but with the CEO here, obviously just lit brightly. We're using their colors in the background, that blue type tech feel, and then we have some of their branding also in the background as well. So. There we go. Okay. So, and again, your pacing and your tone can be different for each video, but really it's just deciding what the end goal is of the video. And in these two examples, this was to give you more of an overview and kind of a in-depth look into each of these brands. So when we talk about graphics and graphic treatments, those can also contribute the way your brand is perceived. This is an example from a YouTube series called Kid President. Some of you may have seen it, but what their messaging and their brand is it's all about spreading positive messaging and making the world a better place. So you could look at the graphic text here. It's just a fun, young, it looks like a kid's handwriting, just playing off the whole kind of chalkboard educational feel. These are how graphics can help with your brand. Looking at another example here. Corporate, clean, official, the capitals really kind of speak out to you. This is another tech company that works in clean room type environments. So just a very clean image and graphic treatment. This is from a show called Mommycast. Just very fun, laid back, conveys motherly emotions. All of the examples we just looked at, complement their brand with the use of graphics, and the aesthetics, work well and appeal to their audience. So we'll talk about music, and music really sets the tone to your video. It's important to decide, what genre is going to tell your story and reflect your brand. And we'll look at a few examples here. The first one, I'm not going to actually show the video. I'm just going to play the music, and I want everybody just to visualize, give you a little bit of context of it. But it's a company that provides tours to someplace, to a country. So just, when you're listening to the music, kind of think about what visuals and see if you can identify the country where they would provide these tours. All right. Any guesses? Greece. Close? Israel. Italy. Italy's the one. It's a video series called Take Walks. It's produced by a company called Walks of Italy, and they provide these special guided tours of Italy. So you think about the visuals there. What they're really trying to do is sort of play off of the emotions you're going to feel on one of their tours. When you take one of their tours. Let's take a quick look at that video. We'll just watch the first 30 seconds or so. even if it was brief, I mean, were these the visuals that kind of came to mind when you heard the music? So you can see, how the music worked in that particular example. And we'll look at one more.
I saw people dancing in my head.
Yeah. Which actually, it's funny you mentioned that because the host of that show, kind of her spin-off, so it's a travel show, but what she does is she's a famous dancer, and she goes and dances in different countries. She'll learn traditional dances, and that was one of the reasons they went to Italy, in this particular town. So they did a partnership with that host. Okay. So the other example is again from Isola Group. And they, like I said earlier, are a company who creates laminate materials that ends up on printed circuit boards. Say that 10 times fast. This is a different video, and this is their 30-second overview.
Isola Group is headquartered in Chandler, Arizona. The global material sciences company focuses on designing, developing, manufacturing, and marketing copper-clad laminates and dielectric preprints, which are used to fabricate advanced multi-layer printed circuit boards. Learn more at www.isola-group.com.
So in that example, it moved faster than the 5-minute overview we saw a little bit of earlier, and it worked. It's their 30-second elevator pitch, so they had to move faster. Still, even though we used a faster piece of music, it was still playing off that tech feel, sounding official, appealing to that engineering audience that they're going after. Okay. There we go. Hold on. Okay. So we've talked about, pre-production, production, post-production. We'll take a few minutes now and just talk about how your video is actually going to be seen and talk about that distribution cycle a bit. So there we go. Okay. So, thinking about where your video is going to live. Is it going to be hosted on your website? Is it going to be hosted through some type of an online video platform? Is there content hubs that are specific to your industry or your audience? One of the companies we work with, they have a specific, an actual kind of their own version of YouTube in that industry. It's called Engineering TV. And we submit a lot of the examples you saw there with Isola Group. We'll actually repurpose their content on those sites. So it's a good idea to do a little bit of research and see what's going to fit for your brand. Also coming up with a social media plan of attack. If you're going to be posting to sites like YouTube or Instagram, really knowing how you're going to interact with those audiences. And we'll talk about that in a few more slides as well. And if you are doing any kind of a live stream or webcast, it's important to think global when you're doing those things. If your audience is in Asia and you're broadcasting here in LA, timing-wise, it might not match up to where your audience is. So just think global when you think live streaming and distribution. Also want to think about how they're going to watch. And we talked earlier about having your web team and the in-house video team or a video production company involved to determine where you can actually deliver your videos to. Knowing what devices your audience is using, whether it's a gaming console, set-top box, tablet, so on. Just making sure that your videos can be displayed on these devices. So we've talked a little bit about distribution. I want to talk about marketing and getting results. And it's figuring out what are the right destinations for your brand. Where is your audience? And these are a couple of platforms you see popping up. Thinking about that social media plan of attack. If somebody leaves a comment or even posts some type of a user-generated response to your video, who's the right person to respond to that? Is there a dedicated person to respond to that? There should be. Also thinking about, can your audience access these platforms? Do they have access to YouTube? Do they have access to Instagram, Vine, so on? And if you're going to be if you're posting to both your website and let's say some type of a social media channel, coming up with that blended distribution model. How can you tailor your videos so they fit these channels? Instagram is very different from YouTube. So how can you repurpose your video to make it work on both of those? The common mistake we see a lot of is companies just putting that same video across all of these platforms. And it's just a big mistake because there's different audiences on these channels. Something else that you're seeing a lot more of is ad choices that come up before your videos. The pre-roll ads, post-roll ads, so on. It's really important to keep in mind, even though you might be making some type of a profit off of that ad, if that ad choice is relevant to your customer and to your viewer. How is it going to reflect their user experience? If they stop watching, before your video even starts playing, then you just made a big mistake. So think about those ad choices and if they're relevant to your viewer and your customer and your brand. Also think about posting fresh content. You want to make sure that, and we'll talk about analytics in a few slides, but keeping the conversation going, evaluating your video afterwards, speaking with people in your organization, the different key players we talked about, and making sure that you're posting fresh content, on some type of a schedule that works for your audience. So we've talked about posting and distributing. Now it's time to analyze the performance of your video. And really the main thing for me, and what I always encourage, is look at engagement. Look at where people are dropping off and tuning into your video. Look at the hotspots. Look at the time, the average time of length that people are watching your videos. To me, this is more important than views. It really is. Looking at how people commented, liked, shared, did something afterwards with your video. It's important to use these metrics to, like I said, create future content. Excuse me. Also taking a look at your demographics. Who's watching? Is it your audience? Where are they watching from? And this will help determine if you're creating the right content in the first place for your brand. Deciding when to post. You can try to experiment and post at different times throughout the day, different dates, see what works and what didn't. I just came across a stat not too long ago that said 44% of online video is watched during work hours, and that came from Nielsen. So you might want to try posting during work hours. Pretty amazing. You also want to track your performance as far as the feedback you're getting. Are people liking it? Are they disliking it? And it's not always easy to get people to engage with your videos. So you can try to get information through other channels. If you have a newsletter or there's an industry trade show, any other way you can talk to your audience just to see what's working and what isn't as far as the videos you're putting out there. Just one other consideration I want to leave you with is make sure your content is shareable. Still nowadays, there's some video players out there or sites that just won't let you share your content, and you're really missing out on the power of online video. Being able to share, engage with your video is what makes it different from television. All right, so we've discussed all the things that make up your online video brand. I want to just spend the last few minutes taking a look at some of these companies who are doing a really good job of branding their videos and creating a branded content experience. So the first company we'll take a look at, their first video is from Clinique, and Clinique is a cosmetic company, and we'll take a look at one of their videos. They post a lot to their YouTube channel, and we'll look at one of those videos. We'll do the same thing. We'll watch the video and then we'll kind of rewind and dissect it.
Hi, I'm Jenna Menard, and I'm here on our eyeshadow shoot. It's all about eyes, and I'm using Clinique's new All About Eyes eyeshadow.
All right, so let's rewind. From the beginning, the things we talked about, we start off with this kind of clean white background. We show the Clinique logo. This is, again, something that they're using in all their other marketing materials. This is the look you'll see on Clinique's website. The real, the white, that clean look. Fast forward a little bit. Pay attention to the music. You know, it sounds fashionable. It pops. It works for their audience. The people they show, the talent they show in their video. You know, this is obviously targeted towards women. It's a behind the scenes look on one of their photo shoots, and that's kind of the purpose of the video.
Hi, I'm Jenna Menard, and I'm here on our
We get to the interview with the stylist here, and again, just pay attention to the things we talked about earlier, the lighting. You know, we've got this really bright background, bright light on the subject, the talent herself, just that, you know, that clean, official look you would expect from a cosmetics company. All right. The next example we'll look at is from a company called Microchip Technology. And this is a trailer for a show they did about one of their a software they produce that works with all of their development tools and products. Let's watch it, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Hi, I'm Rob Alaupovic, Technical Training Engineer at Microchip Technology. Be sure to check out MPLab XTV, a series of tutorial videos we've put together to show you tips and tricks when using MPLab X, our integrated development environment. Check it out on YouTube, iTunes, or our website. Learn more at www.microchip.com/mplabx.
All right, so let's rewind. Again, we start off with the logo. This is the same logo that's used on their marketing, you know, their product packaging, marketing materials, website, etc. The one thing that Microchip really tried to play off of is instead of calling this MPLab 10, which was the version of their software, they really wanted to play off the Roman numeral X. They thought that, you know, that would be a good buzzword in the industry. So if you pay attention here, you can see, you know, like the X transition, just these subtle little things we talked about earlier that, you know, your audience will remember while watching your video. Background, you know, something that matches the logo, their colors, red, black, gray. The talent itself, this is an actual field sales engineer who customers and audience viewers would actually see in the field, whether at a trade show or even coming to visit them at their workplace. So it's somebody that they find trustworthy and again resonates with their audience.
I'm Rob Alaupovic, Technical Training Engineer at Microchip
You know, we see the logo again come up in the lower third,
Technology.
the lower third graphic.
Sure to check.
And then, you know, shots of the actual software in action. I'm sure a lot of you guys care, but let's go here. Again, we see the X transition. Here we talk about the distribution. You know, this is where Microchip has found that their audience is, YouTube and iTunes. So just, again, you know, just little things like telling your audience where they can find your video. It's always important. And again, knowing that each different platform has a different audience. So that's the example with MPLab XTV. The last one we'll take a look at is it's a show called Fresh Off the Boat, and it's produced by Vice. And Vice is actually originally a magazine publication who has a YouTube channel, and they like to post a lot. They like to cover a lot of edgier topics that, you know, traditional news outlets wouldn't cover. And this specific show is it's actually a food show with a guy named Eddie Huang, and we'll leave it at that. We'll watch it, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Yo, this Fresh Off the Boat with Eddie Huang.
I like to wear my shades in the night time, and I prefer the haze when I light them. You just might be amazed at what you might find.
So with this example, you know, the first thing we start off with is this extreme tight shot close-up of the host. You know, it's kind of in your face, it's being shot handheld, shaky. It's an edgier look than the other videos. Again, something that resonates with their audience. Music's a little bit edgier, darker. You know, we're starting to see shots of food, but it's basically putting it out there right away that this is not your average cooking or food show. You're gonna see some different things in this show. You're gonna meet some colorful characters. You know, you're gonna experience all of this with Eddie Cohen. Shots of the tattoos, the street life. You know, this is all things that resonate with that Vice audience. So all of the examples, you know, very different audiences, very different viewers, very different videos, but all of them still, you know, they put the same amount of time into the branding, into the look of their videos. Okay. All right. So just to kind of wrap up, you guys can learn more by visiting our website, stjapanmedia.com. You can email me with any questions you might have. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter. We do a newsletter where we'll post tips and tricks. We'll write our own articles or share other industry articles. We share a lot of this same type of thing. You know, if we see a company doing really well with their branded videos, we like to highlight and spotlight them in our articles. So with that, I want to thank everyone for attending and open it up for Q&A. Yes?
What's your process of hiring a web company or a marketing company to do a website for you? For a small company, for a small production, a small company, what's your process?
For hiring a web, like an actual web design company? I don't know that I would be the best person to answer that. I mean, I think just the same rules apply. You know, I think you really want to find a company that's going to sit down and listen to when you have those brand discussions with them, make sure that they're incorporating your branding, make sure they know your story and your audience and, you know, where people are going to access your website from and just to make sure they're following those best practices. But, you know, we can talk offline if you want some of my personal opinions, but anybody else? What was your favorite video out of there that you saw that really felt worked when we talk about brand? Last one with Vice, yeah. Yeah, they do a great job. They do. You know, just like I said, a lot of the things that you saw in that is something, you know, the topics they cover throughout their magazine and in other videos. They do a series of shows. You can check them out. They're all on YouTube. But yeah, it really works well for their audience. What was the name of that? That show is called Fresh Off the Boat. Yeah. Like I said, it's not your average food cooking show. But yeah, it's fun. It works. Yes? You know, I think, again, just kind of figuring out, are you posting to YouTube? Are you posting to, where would you want to post it to? Okay. I think YouTube, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday in another session, but I still think 2 to 3 minutes is an ideal length for online video. If you have already a big following and a large brand, then you could get away with posting longer content, or if it's really high production value. But I think the important thing is just to engage people in the beginning, those first 5 to 10 seconds. But yeah, you can experiment. Try repurposing the video, make a 15-second version, and see how it does compared to the 2 to 3 minute version, and so on. You can look at what the TV networks are doing. They've got a half an hour show on TV and on their network, but then they've got maybe a 15-minute version online and maybe a different experience for a smartphone, a 1 minute version. So it just depends, I think, on where your audience is watching from and so on. Anybody else? Yes, in the back, and then we'll go to you. Yes.
So are you saying Google Analytics or are there others, and how do you activate that with your videos?
Well, if you're posting to YouTube, YouTube provides some basic analytics. Some of those things I was talking about with engagement, and you can see where people are dropping in and out of your video. You can definitely use those. Those are free. If you're willing to make the investment, and let's say you have something like an online video platform, you can get some really in-depth analytics as far as the demographic and where people are watching from, and those I think what I was really trying to hit home with those is that you can use those to keep creating content and sort of refine your strategy and your brand, see what works and what didn't. But YouTube is a great free platform if you're looking for something like that. A question up here?
I was just curious, like, how do you determine which audience, like what your audience is on your various social media platforms? Like, I have no idea how to determine what to post to one versus posting to another. So I tend to just kind of blank them off. And I know that's horrible, but I just don't actually know off the top of my head a better way to do it.
Sure. That's a good question. I think really just taking the time and researching, how Instagram works, if it's going to work for your brand. So, you've got a 15-second time limit on there. You take a look at the people who are using it, look at the audience using it. Is that somebody that you want to watch your video? Then post there. And just kind of looking at the pros and cons to each platform, rather than just trying to kind of get to all of them with one video. But I think, like I was mentioning earlier, you could take that 2 to 3 minute video that you might have and create a 15-second version out of it, create a 6-second version out of it, and just repurpose it along those channels. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, talking earlier when we talked about putting together, assembling the right team, even if you're one person doing that for your brand and your organization, just try to put on a different hat. Put on your marketing hat. Put on your technical IT. Put on your sales hat, and just think about the different perspectives and ways people watch and consume the video, and kind of what you can add to it from that perspective. Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you guys again. Like I said, reach out to us.